Hello, my name is Sausan Ondraus. I'm the program chair of the Egyptian American Organization. Welcome to our second event of the virtual event in year 2022. I apologize I won't be here in person, but I wish everyone a wonderful members-only event. Even though our theme this year is centered around the arts, we're switching gear a little and we're bringing a very important topic, which is the financial literacy. In 2004, the Senate passed a resolution to have the month of April a financial literacy month. It's a nationally recognized campaign to bring awareness to the need of the more financial education in schools and for adults. In an effort to raise awareness around financial literacy and promotion financial education, we decided to host a series of events around financial literacy and understanding the stock market. We are in a treat with, as you hear, our board chair, Isra Nawar, who holds a master's in business administrations and works as an academic business librarian with the business schools at the Chapman University. She would converse with the brilliant financial mind in our community, Mr. Mahmoud Abdelkader. Listen, take notes, and provide as many questions as you want. This is just part of one of the series that we are planning to host more in the near future. Please stay tuned for our Sham Nassim picnic on Saturday, May 7. It's going to be our first event in person in 2 years. It's going to be sold out events, so please book your tickets as soon as possible, and it's going to be a memorable and a wonderful event for all of us. With further ado, please join me in welcoming our chair, Ms. Isra Nawar.
To our Facebook page later today for other community members to enjoy. All right, I see Mahmoud is on camera. So great, and I can hear your voice. Did you try? Great, you're looking wonderful. Mahmoud. Thank you for being here. So before I introduce you, Mahmoud, can you try and share your screen just for a second so we make sure that everything is set for you?
Okay.
And by the way, I'm still finding people. You have a lot of fans, Mahmoud, so I'm so glad to see there's a really good attendance today for this event.
That's great to hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. I just want to make sure that you're able to share your screen because I know you have prepared a PowerPoint for all of us to enjoy today.
That's what I'm trying to do now. And maybe you can help me.
So there is, in the middle of the screen, in the middle of your Zoom, there's a
share screen.
Yes. Once you do that, you'll be able to click on it and then just click on your PowerPoint.
Okay. I have the share screen.
Perfect. Yes. So when it's time for you.
But it says host disabled participants.
Okay, let me
screen
give you.
Sharing.
Okay, let me give you a privilege one more time. So. Able to do it now because I just gave you privileges. Yes, perfect. Great.
Can you see it now?
Yes, I can see it now. So I don't see the
plain
screen. So when you get a chance, just show it to us.
Okay. So we have a lot to cover today.
Let me introduce.
We have a very little time, according to Isra. We need to wrap this up within like 20 to 25 minutes to allow more time for questions and answers.
Let me introduce Mahmoud. Let me introduce you first, and then then I will go ahead and give you the screen. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Okay, hold on just a second. Right. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce to you today Mr. Mahmoud Abdelkader. I have two bios for Mahmoud, the professional one and the personal one. Mr. Mahmoud Abdelkader is a CPA, CIA, CFSA. He has a total of 29 years of experience in the financial market, 6 years of which was with actually Ernst & Young, and the rest was in the finance management in a variety of industries. His experience covers banking, hospitals, construction, trading, and manufacturing. As the Chief Financial Officer, Mahmoud was able to participate and lead two underperforming entities, one of which from losses of around $21 million in 2007 to $70 million in 2010. Mahmoud has a bachelor's of business administration and major in accounting. He's also a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, American Institute of Certified Internal Auditors, and Institute of Certified Financial Services Auditors. He has been investing and trading for nearly 14 years in a variety of financial markets, such as future and stocks. He has a very unique approach in selecting his investment transaction based on volume and order flow. So you're definitely in here today for a treat. On a personal note, my family and I, Hisham and I, have actually got the pleasure and the honor to know Mahmoud and Hiba, his beautiful wife, for the past 5 years. We've actually really enjoyed our conversations on a variety of topics, specifically the financial market. I really like to pick his brain on what's going on in the economy, really worldwide. And you'll definitely get to hear his unique approach, especially what he does before he invests and all kinds of great questions. He and his wife were great parenting models for us because they have a little bit of older kids. It's really been fun to get their advices on how to raise teenage boys. And it's just been a pleasure getting to know him and Hiba on a personal level, and we consider them family. So Mahmoud, thank you so much for being here today, and the floor is yours, and I can't wait to have our conversation after your presentation.
Thank you very much, Isra. It sounds really great to hear about yourself from someone else. Thank you guys for attending today. We have a lot to discuss, and we have a very short period of time. Today, I would like just to introduce the basics of the financial markets. I wouldn't call it the stock market, because the stock market is just one element of the financial markets. Before we start, can we check the sound? If you can tell me if the sound is okay and you guys can hear me all right, you can see my screen.
We can hear, but your screen is just a white screen. Is that what we're supposed to see right now?
White screen. No, it's not.
Okay. Do you wanna stop sharing and just share for one more time? But the sound is great.
Okay. What can you see now on my screen? Still a white screen?
Just a white slide, I believe.
Okay. How is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Perfect. Yes.
All right. So today I'm going to cover a few of the basics that I would like to share with you on the financial markets. But before we start that, for liability purpose, I would like you to spend like a minute or so to go through the risk disclaimer. And then we will start after that.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, hopefully you will have enough time to go through the risk disclaimer once Isra posts the recording of this. Isra, are we recording all right?
Yes, the recording is perfect. I'm still letting people in.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Excellent. So I'll start with the million-dollar question. What is trading and how can we make money off of trading? That's a very basic yet very crucial and important and integral part of the success of this process. We make money through one of two transactions. That's what the normal answer will be, which is going long meaning that we buy at a lower price and then we sell at a higher price. That's how you make money. That's what everybody knows. You buy any financial instrument and you anticipate or expect that this financial instrument is going to appreciate over a period of time, and then the price is going to go up. That's when you start selling. You make money with the difference of these two prices. But there is another way also of making money, which is what we call going short. Going short is when we sell first, and then we cover, meaning we buy when the prices are going down. So the difference in price between selling and buying is what we call our profit. And that's when the prices depreciate. That's the second way of making money. These are the two typical transactions that we do as investors or traders. So we answered the first question, how the money is made in the process of trading. The second question that we have is, what are the types of trading that we have? We have three types of tradings, and that's divided according to a criteria of timing, or how long we are holding the investment for. One is called the day trading. That's when you buy and sell all the instrument that you bought within one operating day. You don't hold it for more than 1 day. Sometimes that transaction would take even less time than the 1 day. And I have, instances, not personally went through it, but I have friends who have done transactions that was successful. It lasted maybe for seconds, and that's how they make money. Day traders will normally make multiple transactions in single entry. And they use technical analysis to identify patterns and price trends that offer profitable trading opportunities. Many day traders will also make margin trading, meaning that they will be borrowing capital from brokers. They share some, but the majority of the capital is being borrowed by the investor or day trader from their broker. And that also adds substantial element of risk to the transaction and this kind of practice. Does that mean day trading is not good? Of course not. Day trading can be a very lucrative, I would say, gig if you want to adapt it, if you want to take it, but it needs a lot of concentration. It needs an iron of discipline that you have to abide by specific rules, especially when you are making a leverage trades, meaning borrowing money from someone else, which is your broker at this stage. Generally speaking, in the recent years, you don't have to pay any money for borrowing the money from your broker, since they benefit from the commission that they take from each transaction you make through them. It's also very exciting as a job. There is no doubt about that. Some people like the adrenaline rush. I personally don't, given my age. I don't like the adrenaline rush. I would like to take the low-hanging fruit and just move on. Day trading also is a great way to make a living for some people who do not want to be tied down to a day job, or don't like to keep moving and hopping from one freeway to another. Anyway, so the day trading has its own advantages, but it also has its drawbacks, its disadvantages. It's well-capitalized hedge funds performing high-frequency trades can be very risky because they get to manipulate the market on a short term. They don't get to move the market all the way from its direction, but they get to manipulate it on a very short period of time. So it has its cons and pros. You just get to pick which one do you want to do. That's on the day trading. The swing trading is the second So we agree that the day trading now is the type of trading where you open and close the transaction within one day. You don't get to hold your investment for more than a day. The swing trading is similar to the day trading, in which it's not a long-term investments. However, it's normally longer in duration than the day trading. You get to hold the investment for more than one day, but it's also going to be for less than a month, I would say, few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. That's for the swing trading. It focuses on identifying price changes or swing in any kind of commodities that we deal with, or financial markets. Sometimes it's stocks, sometimes it's currencies or futures. You also get to hold it for like 2 to 3 weeks, maximum 4 weeks, you would do that. And then you get to liquidate that investment. It's similar to day trading, like we said, in the fact that it's not a long term, but it's not an investment. So that's how the similarity between the two. The benefit of having a swing trading is that you don't require the same level of expertise like the day trading. And it also provides for higher gains because your profit target normally expands more than the day trading. And of course, having this as an advantage, the disadvantage of having the swing trading, like we always say, if you have a long, if you have that the risk is normally very tied to the benefit, meaning if you expect a high return, then the risk is going to be as high. So you got to be careful when you are making swing tradings. Yes, it can provide a bigger return than the day trading, but it can also make you carry higher level of risk. And that depends on the appetite of risk that a person would like to have. That's the second type of trading or investing. The third is what we call the regular investment. That's when you buy, for example, stocks on any company, and you decided to keep it for more than a couple of months. That's called investment. And you get to hold it for like years at times. And that's done based on number of studies. You get to do fundamental analysis, and you get to do technical analysis as well. We will go through this very briefly as we move on. Moving forward with our presentation. So we talked about how the money is made. We talked about the types of investments, day trading, swing trading, investments. What are we trading? The markets. How many markets are there to invest in? There are a number of markets that you can invest in. And that depends, of course, on the criteria that you use to identify these markets. But generally speaking, I'm going to focus only today on two major ones. The first one is going to be the capital market, and that's also important to understand what the capital market is. And the second is going to be the forex market, or the foreign exchange market. The capital market is one of the types of the financial markets. It's mainly helping in raising capital on a long-term basis, generally for a period over 1 year. It consists of primary and secondary market, and can be divided in two main subgroups: bonds market and stock market. The bonds market is mainly the borrowing. You're financing by accumulating debt through bonds issuance by a company and bond trading. You take these bonds and you start trading it in the secondary market. Debt securities are traded on bond market. It's like the IOUs that can come in the form of bonds or notes payables. These essentially represents the borrowing of money that will be paid back at a later date with interest. So it needs to be paid back. The stock market is different, which is the second type of the capital market. That's when you provide financing by sharing the ownership of a company through stocks issuing and trading. Money that I invest in equity securities is not required to be paid back by the business. Hopefully that's clear, because this is what most people would like to know about. Whether it's going to be in a debt form to the company, bonds, and it will be repaid on its duration, or it's going to be the stock market and you get to buy and sell these stocks once you own it. Transactions are facilitated by either through a centralized exchange, which is what we call the platform. It's like the New York Securities Exchange. Or it's even facilitated over the counter, which is decentralized way of trading securities without central exchange or broker. And the perfect example of that we use is for the Forex, or the foreign exchange markets. And that takes us to the second market that we would like to talk about, the foreign exchange market. It's the foreign exchange trading. That's what we focus on. And it's the largest market by far. It's the most liquid market in the world, with an average traded volume per day over 5 trillion per day transacted and traded in that market. It includes all types of currencies in the world, and any individual, company, or country can participate in buying and selling these pairs of forexes. So we talked about the types of markets, and we talked about the types of trading and the different types of investments based on the timing, which is also another key element of what we need to discuss and what we need to know in terms of basics of the financial markets. What I'm listing here, I tried to gather as many markets and as many products that can be invested in or traded in the markets. The indices, I just focused here on the US index market, which is the ES, which is Standard & Poor's. It's the biggest. And then the NASDAQ, I think a lot of people have heard about this in the news. There is also the Russell, or the Dow Jones, the DJIA mini. These are the futures and indices. Also, there is a currency on the futures, and there are many pairs. I'm just focusing on the major ones, the three major ones. On the energy level, there is a crude oil, there is a natural gas. These are the top two that I listed. The metals, there is a gold and there is a silver. The grains, there is a corn, wheat, but there are more products that you can trade. I'm just focusing and listing the major ones. And the softs, there is a coffee and orange juice. So these are the markets that you also need to consider that can be traded or invested in. So we discussed how the money is made. We discussed the types of trading and investing based on the duration of the transaction. We also showed the different markets that can be discussed and traded. Now we move on to the technical analysis. The technical analysis that we have here, it's mainly focusing on reading the charts rather than reading the news. And I would like to focus on the charts that we use, or the majority, if not all, the investors and traders who do this for a living or do it even on a part-time, but they are skilled. They use what we call the candlesticks. The candlesticks is what has been invented by the Japanese people in the 17th century, and it shows very much what the sentiment of the market is. We have on the right-hand side here, we have the green, or what we call the bullish candle. And the bullish candle or the green candle, it's a long green candle, indicates that there is a strong buying pressure that's lifting the price up. This typically indicates price is bullish, rising share prices. However, they should be looked at in the context of the market structure as opposed to the candlestick individually. On the left-hand side here, it shows also a different type of candles, which is what we call the bearish candle. And the bearish or the red candle, it indicates that significant selling pressure that suggests that the price is bearish or falling down. So like we said, the Japanese people, they invented the candlesticks to represent the price movements in the country. It's the type of the price chart that's used in trading analysis that shows the high of the price within that duration of time. It could be 1 day, it could be 1 minute, or even less. It shows the highest price that the market reached within that duration of time, and it shows the low of that price. It shows where the price has opened in that day or minute or hour or whatever the duration we are using, and where the price has closed. Again, it's really important to understand these basic elements when you are reading the charts, because that's the key of learning the technical analysis. Learning to understand if the price is going up or down. That's, for example, on the right-hand side here, it shows what we mean by technical analysis. I know it may look a little bit complicated, but just mind the complication and try to focus on what's on the right-hand side here, which is the prices. And I think I selected, that's the crude oil. And that's until the closing of Friday, yesterday. So it shows what the price of the crude oil has been through within that day. It started at specific price and it kept going up. But over a period of 1 week, the prices has been falling down, except for Friday when the prices started going up. The reason why I included that chart, I don't want to complicate things, but I want you to come out of this session with the understanding that there are 2 types of analysis. The first type, which is on the left-hand side, is what we call the fundamental analysis. And that's when you take the company and you start going through its annual report. You get to understand how the performance of that company through its financial statements. You get the P&L, the profit and loss account, or what we call here the income statements, and get to see the profitability of the company. The cash flow statement, you get to understand the cash position of that company. Does it have enough cash to pursue its operation without going through any kinds of solvency? And then the second part on the right-hand side here is the technical analysis, whereby we only listen to the chart. We only look at the chart. And as you start going through this, you will learn over time 2 things. One is that if you listen to the chart and you look at it, you will notice that you don't need to read the news. You get to look at the news to find times that you need to avoid looking at the charts or even trading. And that's when you sit on your hand. You don't do anything. That's when I look at the news. The second thing that I would like you also to come out of this is that the market is always giving us hints to the point that it's unfolding its hand. It's telling us what the market is going to be doing next. And I would like to walk you quickly through this because I know we are running out of time. If we start, can you guys see, Isra, if you can confirm, can you see my pointer here on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, So I would like to start at this point, and we see that the market is giving us a lower highs, keeps giving us a lower highs, and lower lows. The lows of the day is getting lower, and the market is kept pushing the price down and down furthermore. I think we can see this over a period of 2 to 3 days until we reach to that point. Once we get to that point, I think the market is hitting an iron wall, whereby it cannot go any lower than this. It tried once and tried second time, a third time, and this is going to be the fourth time. If the market is heading down and it's facilitating the price, which is what we call the advertiser in this auction process, pushing the price down, and all of a sudden we see we are hitting a wall. I even drew a line here, if you can see the gray line, that the market is unable to penetrate that line easily and build, volume underneath. So the natural reaction is that the market is going to head to a different direction. That's when I say the market is unfolding its hand. It's telling us what it wants to do. We just need to listen and hear and understand the basics of the technical analysis to be able to predict where the market is heading. And that's what I call the second $1 million question, is where is the market heading? Is it going to go down or it's going to go up? That's the goal. And I think also you can see, and that's, I think, is the goal as of April 8th, which is until yesterday. And it's showing me that the gold tried to go down and further down, and then it couldn't. It started heading up. And I think it's clear. This is the Dow Jones. It's the same way. The market is heading up. And you can say, yes, the market is heading up. That means I'm not going to go any short. I'm going to do only long transactions. And the same thing for crude oil at a different point in time. And then the euro, US dollar future, and so on and so forth. That's what we call looking at the market and doing the technical analysis. So we know the difference now between the technical analysis and the fundamental analysis. I think I would like to stop at this point to give the floor for any questions that anybody wants to ask. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Mahmoud. You make a very, if I may ask you to stop sharing your screen so we can start the Q&A and then definitely open it up for questions and answers from the audience. Let me start by thanking you very much for the time and effort that you put in this presentation. I know you were working on your slides all the way until last night because you wanted to give us this deep analysis all the way until just how the stock market or the financial market was behaving until yesterday. Mahmoud, I have to tell you, we make a very complicated subject very interesting, and a very complicated subject that's you're very, very passionate about. As I mentioned to you before, I started as a CPA. Many of you may not know this, but back in the day, I also graduated with a business degree with a major in accounting. And I thought I was going to be a CPA, but for many of you who know me, I'm definitely not a CPA. But I want to ask you a question. How did you fall in love with accounting, honestly, and the financial market? And I watch and listen to many podcasts about the future of work and how you can develop a passion towards something that you do. And what you do is a very hard and, to be honest, very dry subject. But as I said, the conversations that I've had with you, you make it sound very interesting. So perhaps just share with us, how do you feel about it and how do you make it interesting?
Well, I've been retired since 2010, and I started this. I started the investment maybe in the late 2005, 2006. That's when I started, it just happened because when I started my retirement at the end of 2010, it was so nice in the beginning, but it turned out to be boring as well after like a couple of months. Yes, I would like to go out and I would like to enjoy my time, but I needed a purpose. I needed something to do without having to be committed to work every day. So it doesn't take me more than like, I would say 3 hours a day, 4 hours max, just to go through what I need to do and then wrap it up. But again, it's, I would say it's the combination of retirement and boredom at the same time. So that's how it works.
That's a very honest answer, and I appreciate that. I'm not sure if I will be able to fall in love with the financial industry, but perhaps maybe with the stock market. I'll pick your brain on that at some point. But thank you for that question, for that answer. I really appreciate it. My second question also is developed around some of the things that you've shared about, like the unique approach to your investment. And you've shared with me in many conversations, and I know your beautiful wife also shared with me, that you wake up sometimes at 2:30 or 3 a.m. just to do some reading. And I love that approach. And I don't think, I work, one of the things that I do for Chapman University, which is really the closest I came to accounting and business, was to be the academic librarian for the business school and accounting department at Chapman. So I work closely with professors. I attend many of the classes, and I help with research, especially when it comes to the information literacy assessment of the accounting students. But your approach is very unique. You spend maybe 2 to 3 hours reading. So perhaps share with some of us that are not, because I do a little bit of investment, not close to what you do, but I basically just play with some numbers and go to a really very easy platform. I follow some bloggers, but that's basically it. But your approach is very unique, and perhaps you can just share with us what you do in those early hours of the morning.
Well, the early hours of the morning, the reason for this is that although we are very blessed, and we live in California, and it's beautiful. The weather is beautiful, but also the time zone is not helping that line of work, because we are 3 hours, away from New York. That's one, and we are like 8 hours away from Europe. And the Central Bank of Europe issues its publications, and they issue so many announcements. You need to know about number of economic indicators that's issued through these units. You need to read it, like the GDP, the gross domestic products. You need to understand what it means and the impact of this to the financial market. We also get to see, for example, let me give you this. We have the consumer price index that's coming next week. We also have, in the US, we have what's called the FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee. And that's a committee that decides on the interest rate. It decides on more than the interest rate in the United States, which I think the world gets to wait for their announcements. They do have 8 meetings every year, and they issue so many, decisions. One of which is what we call the quantitative easing, which is pretty much to simplify, it's where they decide on how much of our deposits is going to be re-injected into the market to help the financial market to move and get it out of its stagnant position. So we need to read about this. And then I look at also at the overnight movements of the financial markets. I look at what China is doing. China is a very key and very big in its size in the financial market. Europe is another big player also. I get to look at what's happening. I don't trade their markets. I don't invest in their markets, because we have a very big market in the United States. We have more than, I would say, 8,000 corporations that can be traded in terms, if you want to do stocks only. You have the Forex, the foreign exchange. You have the futures which is a dear market to my heart. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's a perfect. I mean, what I'm hearing you saying is you really try to take a very evidence-based approach, an educated decision, and you do a lot of reading before you even go into investing. And I love that. I'm a librarian, so anytime someone takes an evidence-based approach to whatever decision they make, I just love it. So, and I'm glad that you mentioned China, because I was just waiting for you to mention China because of all the conversations that we had. Mahmoud and I recently exchanged some thoughts about a book that just came out through Springer called China 2050. And we don't want to get into politics, but perhaps, Mahmoud, and I know this is a very unexpected question for you, but I know everybody is intrigued about the economy worldwide and China 2050 and US versus China. So perhaps in a little bit of a not too political way, which I know is hard, touch base on that and how you see the economy worldwide.
Well, it's hard to predict because like I get to be asked this question from so many people. What do you think? The market is going to go up? Is the market going to go down? What do you think? If I know, I would have bought my own island. So I don't know. But if I want to predict something and I'm right about it, I need to make it. So I need to be big enough to make it. China is a big economy, and it's definitely one of the major players in the economy of the world. It needs to be respected. Over the years, they have developed so many of their tools. They developed their people, and they are the kitchen of the world. A lot of products are made in China. They managed to keep their currency low, so that helps their export at a very high level. They are doing a lot of efforts now to survive because I think they are beginning to feel the heat of slowing down the economy, not only because of the pandemic, but also because of so many other political factors and economic changes that we are yet to observe and witness in the coming few months. Some people blame it on the war. Yes, the war has its impact, but it's not only the war. It's more than this. Things are going to be shaped differently. What we see in terms of the supply chain issues is just one of the symptoms, but it's not the problem.
I like that. I'm going to quote you on this. China is the kitchen of the world. I love that. Thank you for that answer. I really appreciate it. So switching from China, and I'm going to actually post the link to that book that Mahmoud and I discussed a couple of weeks ago, China 2050, I believe, through Springer. It's an open access book, so you can, and you don't have to read the book. I see Kareem here, who's from UCLA. I bet he will be one of those people that will read that book, but because I know he's very sophisticated. But from China to cryptocurrency, and I already heard some people wanting to ask that question about like, what is the future of cryptocurrency with all its forms? I don't want to just pick a specific cryptocurrency, but just educate us a little bit. I mean, I was teasing with my mom. She needed some money from me the other day. And I said, and my brother said, just send her some cryptocurrency. And she said, no, I need cash. She'll never believe in this, but yeah, I won't. Aside from joking, but seriously, what is the future of cryptocurrency and how do you see this going?
Like I told you, it's very, I can't predict the future unless I'm able to make it. But what I can tell you is that I don't believe in the cryptocurrency. I'm an old school. Cryptocurrency to me belongs to a decentralized market, and you can't hold it. You can't get to talk. Let's say if you want to trade, and let's take, for example, the biggest financial market, which is the foreign exchange. If you want to go and trade the Forex, like we call it, and you want to trade the euro versus the US dollar, you get to read about the US economy, You get to know what's the GDP, what's the consumer price index, what's the inflation rate in both units in Europe and in the US. You get to understand you get to know and read the budget and see if there is going to be any deficit in the budget of the US or the European Union. So you get to understand. So when you are trading or investing in the US dollar or the euro as a currency, you know what you're dealing with. You know what that unit is up to. But if you want to do it for the cryptocurrency, what's the country? You don't have one. So to me, it's not only a decentralized market, but it's even further. I don't see a structure. I don't see a unit that I can look at. That's why I avoid dealing with these, I would say, vague or how would I put it? Let's put it as a decentralized structure. It's outside the control of any government. The US, there is a government. In Europe, there is a government that controls the currency. And yes, it's a decentralized platform and you get to deal with every broker separately, but there is a central authority that issues publications you get to refer to and you get to know. Who is handling the cryptocurrency? No one.
Yeah, that's answer. Yeah, thank you, Mahmoud, for this. That's a good way of thinking about it. And
I know this might not be, a very, loved answer by many people, but this is how I view it.
No, I love unpopular opinions. I think they're always good. It keeps us all kind of thinking, because we have to get into conversations that makes us get intrigued. And that's why, as the Egyptian American Organization Board, our focus, even though our focus this year, we're celebrating arts with all its forms, from stand-up comedy to theater to acting to music, but we really also want to celebrate different professions. And that's why we were so grateful for you to give us your time and energy today and educate us as we're celebrating the National Financial Literacy Month. And we're really trying to also bridge gaps, generational gaps and professional gaps, because I know throughout the years, sometimes, you're either a doctor or an engineer, maybe a lawyer, but other than that, who are you? But you're a living proof that you can be in a different industry and still be successful and also, paid forward for younger generations. And we're very grateful for you. So speaking of financial literacy, and as Sosa mentioned in the beginning of the event through her introduction, we're celebrating Financial Literacy Month. And even though the federal government has, called April since 2004 Financial Literacy Month and encouraged school districts all over the country to educate the students in their K through 12 schools on financial literacy. I have kids in the K through 12 public system, and I don't see any financial literacy beyond the ones that I try to do with my kids, and we all don't have time. So, and I know you also have passion towards the younger generation. That's my second question, but why financial literacy, and what do you think parents actually should do to educate their kids, parents, caregivers, sometimes even grandparents that do some investment themselves? What should they do to hold their kids and maybe sometimes young adults' hands to invest?
Well, that's a very, very good question, actually. We live in a country that has a lot of rules and regulations and laws. And I understand that not even a single university that's willing to adopt this topic of financial markets and trading, investing as a major, because of the liability, of course. Nobody wants to carry the burden of being sued because they graduated number of people and the students paid that sum of money, but they are unable to find a job or even become successful in trading and investing. I can understand that. But what I don't understand is that give them the basics. Why not give them the basics at school before they graduate the high school even if it's going to be like a one chapter in the high school, educate them about the different types of financial markets, because it's becoming an integral part of our day-to-day. How many people are working at different jobs and they do have 401k that they have no clue how is that working, or even how to select the holder of their IRA or 401. They don't know what are the criteria to be used to select and how to measure the performance of these investors, because pretty much you are giving your money to someone else based on an agreement, but you have no idea that how is that done, given the education contents that we have. And yes, I do believe we need to educate our kids. We need to let them know at least the basics. And yes, it can be done without the liability. Does that answer your question?
It does, and perhaps I can put you on the hook, Mahmoud, for maybe hosting a series of events co-sponsored by the Egyptian organization, and also maybe the LEAP, which is the League of Egyptian American Professionals, the young professionals. So perhaps all of us collaborate, because if it's not us, then who, right? We want to continue to educate our kids, our grandkids, or younger people within the community. And I've heard you speak over and over that you could actually make a living out of this. You can actually make a career out of this. I mean, you're the only one that convinced me that compound interest is a good thing to think about. And every time now I'm thinking about compound interest, like I've never loved compound interest the way you explained it to me. So
it's one of the best inventions, yes.
I know. I'm like, I mean, I study it in college, but nobody has ever explained it the way you did. So perhaps, I can go back to the board and we can discuss some ideas where we can all collaborate and host some series of events. There's so many nonprofits within our community that can perhaps just work together in educating. So I really want to thank you for that answer. I see a question in the chat from Amani Kamil. She's asking you a question about, can you tell us more about shorting stock? Is that correct, Amani? Yeah.
Okay. Shorting, you know what? A picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'll show you a trade that happened on Friday. That was a quick one, and it's going to last for 2 minutes. Is that okay, Isra?
Yeah, please feel free to share your screen.
Okay. And how do I?
You just go back to that middle, to your middle Zoom and just share the screen.
Well, the challenge. Oh yeah, here we go. Can you see my screen all right?
Yeah, you can click on the PowerPoint, maybe it's the specific slide that you want to share, so you make it bigger for us.
Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so pay attention, because I'm gonna sell at one price and I'm gonna buy at a lower price. That's what we call shorting the market, or going short, meaning I don't have anything. I come in the morning, I don't have anything on my portfolio, and I start selling, and then I'm gonna cover it by buying at a lower price. That's how we make money. So that's what we call shorting. Now I sold at 79.25, sorry, 81.25, and I'm expecting to sell the first batch at 79.25, and the second at 78.25, and the third at 77.25. Now the market is heading down, and that's my prediction. I'm predicting that the market is going to keep going down, given what happened overnight, where the market kept going down on the higher time frame on the left-hand side. And then now I'm making profit. I'm closing 6 contracts of my position soon. Yes, now I closed 6 and I started trailing my stop loss down. So there is no way I'm losing on that trade transaction. Now the second batch of my target is going to be closed soon, which is I'm going to buy because I already sold it at 81.44, 81.25. The second batch is closed. And now the third one is going to be achieved and I'm going to be out of that trade. Okay. Did that answer your question, Amani?
Yes, kind of, yeah. Thanks.
Now
Thank you.
I'm going to stop sharing and you can have that.
Yes, perfect. Anyone else has any questions? Thank you for that answer. Thank you for the video. You were prepared. I can see the passion on it. I remember.
Well, I know because, you know, many times, well, the concept of shorting the market is not very familiar among people. Is that how can I sell something I don't have it? Yes, you borrow it from the broker and then you return it to them once you close it and you buy it back, right?
You make it sound very easy.
It's complicated.
It's
much more complicated.
Yeah, you're definitely a pro at this. And I remember the first time you showed me like a video of that sort. I remember I was at your home maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, what is that? But I think I'm a little bit more educated. I'm not there yet. It will take me years, but
yes, you are. You're just humble.
Thank you for that. I see Gigi has a question, I believe. Gigi, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Well, welcome, Mr. Mahmoud. You know what? As a teacher, all right, and I agree with you that they do not have enough education for the kids as far as financing. But if I want to start investing, okay, what would be the safest way to invest without losing, without a high risk, I should say, of losing a lot of money? What would, as a start point, how do you do that?
Okay.
What are my choices?
Okay. First, thank you very much for your question. But first, I'm not licensed to give any financial advice as to how to invest. But I can answer a different question. I can answer the question of what would you do? What would I do personally? It depends on how much money I have. If I have $500,000 that I would like to invest, I would definitely go, that's what I would do. I would put like 400,000 out of this $500,000. I'd put it in a real estate, knowing that the real estate market is, of course, not now because the real estate market is at its peak. It's very high now, but I would select the right time to buy and invest in the real estate. That's given the amount of money that I have and I would like to invest. Why would I select real estate? For 2 reasons. One is that the real estate market, it appreciates over a period of time. So you get to have the capital gain. And second, if it is not your own housing, you can still rent it out and get reoccurring income every month from that rental, right? So that's how you do it. What if I don't have this $500,000 and I only have, let's say, $5,000 or $1,000 that I would like to invest? That's what I would do. I don't know because I cannot give you an advice, and I wouldn't advise you to take my advice because my situation is different from yours. But what I would do, I would definitely look at one of the ETFs, what we call exchange traded funds. Exchange traded funds is hosted by different companies. There is like the BlackRock and there is Vanguard, and they have these funds that's tied up to the index of the market. When I say index, I mean the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, and they invest it and they would give you a good amount of return. Look it up. because that's what I would do. I would go and invest it in one of these. I don't have the knowledge, but I know these companies, they have great track records in investing people's money. They do charge you with fees, but it's not huge to the point that they are going to eat up all the outcome of the investment. They always leave some for us. So that's what they do. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mahmoud. Anyone else? I mean, that was a very popular event. I think Khalid probably has a question.
I have a follow-up.
Hold on.
I have
Just start again.
Sorry, I have a follow-up to that question, especially about the real estate. If you had, personally for you, if you had a choice of investing the 400,000 in real estate, would you do it in actual physical real estate or in a REIT?
You mean the new trend of electronic real estate?
Yes.
Okay. Like I said, when I answered one of the questions, I'm an old school. Does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I always look for tangible assets because whatever new, it can be great, but I'm not willing, giving my I would say my risk appetite, I'm not willing to risk any of my money in something new that's not yet proven as a concept.
All right, thank you.
I absolutely second.
Yeah,
That again, I can hear you, sorry.
Amani
I
Gobran.
absolutely second with you, Mr. Mahmoud, because having the tangible thing in your hand, it's going to appreciate pretty good, even though when it comes to investment, maybe this is a little bit different time because you're not going to be able, even with the rent amount, you're not going to be able to cover the whole expenses for the house. However, it's still, you're going to build equity, good equity in the house, that even though maybe you're not covering all expenses, however, the equity you're going to build is going to be way bigger than what you even expect.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Mahmoud,
guess you are an expert in this, right?
She is. She's a real.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, she's Amani is actually an up and coming great real estate agent within the.
Okay, that explains it. Yeah.
Yeah. I attended one of her events last November, and her customers just rave about the experience working with her. So definitely. But I also, I mean, Khalid is a computer scientist at Google, so I can see him rolling his eyes as
Sorry, Khalid.
So we're trying to bridge, as I said before, we're trying to bridge professions, and it's okay to disagree. And maybe, we'll have this conversation a year from now, and Mac, you will be, changing what you're thinking right now, which is the beauty of all of this.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And going back to the word expert, none of us is an expert in anything. Yeah, I know he does not disagree, but I'm just saying, it is heartbreaking to hear someone that's very invested in technology and a technology company and understanding that this is not solid yet, but things change all the time. But anyone else with any questions? I want to make sure that everybody is covered. We had almost 30 people here, which is wonderful, especially that we are in Ramadan and some of us are actually fasting. It's really great to see people are interested in educating themselves and always elevating their areas and diversifying their areas of expertise. So I think with that, I'm gonna thank all of you for attending today and spending your Saturday morning with us. This link will actually be posted later today for the rest of the community. So feel free to go back to the Egyptian American Organization Facebook page and look for that link, share it with your friends and family, and perhaps you're also young adults and children, and I hope it was easy enough for them to understand. And we promise we will continue these series of educational events for the whole community to enjoy. I want to thank again the 3 board members that are here today: Gigi Midhad, the secretary of the board; Amani Kamel, the vice chair; Amani Gobran, the chair of the membership committee; and the rest of the board for all their help. And Mahmoud, a very, very, very special thanks to you for your time, your energy, and your demeanor. And I really appreciate it. And I know we talked about this for a couple of years and we finally made it happen. And I'm thankful for the platform of the Egyptian American Organization.
I hope I wasn't a burden today. I know the topic is very dry and I tried to make it as interesting as possible. And I would like to thank everyone for being here and for listening and for asking questions. And I wish you guys all the best.
You did a great job. Thank you so much. That was a good information and material for us to study further and get back to you with more questions. Thank you.
Yes. And perhaps for those of you who are comfortable, can we do a group photo since we're all here? So if you're comfortable opening your camera, I'm going to just take a screenshot. If you're not, please don't. But this is a really historical moment for us because we're trying to kind of just, again, bridge generations, bridge professions, and bring non-members to join the EAO and get to know each other. And that's really our goal for the next few years, inshallah. So
can you allow me for one comment, please?
Yes, please do.
Sure. Since we have a lot of people here, and I would like to announce one more time about our event in May 7th with our Shem Nassim. And I would love to see everybody there, being the committee chair, the membership chair. So I would like to have everybody there, and please get your tickets. It's via Zelle. It's the easiest way. And as much as the high, complicated resume of Mr. Mahmoud, but he needs to add one more thing, is to be a member of the EO. You agree with me, Mr. Mahmoud?
Kader, that's, yeah. I will do that. I will be a member.
We would love to see you in May 7th with us, please. Even if you can spend just 1 hour with us, it will be an amazing way to people can see you in person, and maybe they can engage with different questions and they can get educated.
You got it.
Thank you.
I'd like to also add one more thing. I see Hiba Morsi, Mahmoud's wife here. Hiba is one of my very, very closest friends, and also really a sister to me, and I'm so grateful for her. I know she's probably helped a lot behind the scenes in prepping this, and I know she has a hand in so many of this, and she trades herself. So maybe the next time she'll speak to us about her experience in this financial industry as well. So Hiba, thank you for helping us, and thank you for also everything you do for the community as well. So with that, I think we can go ahead and get started with the photo. So just smile and all right, perfect. Well, thank you all so much. I'll be posting this later today, and I hope to see you guys soon, and happy Ramadan for all of you fasting and celebrating. Happy Shem Nassim coming up April 24th, and inshallah see all of you on May 7th at our party. All right, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.